I was very, very excited when I got this book actually. I think at the Dollar Tree, and I was like, oh my God, Tess Holiday, and I love her, and I admire her boldness and her truth and her honesty. And I think that there have been more life things that have happened since this book. When this came out, I want to say 2016. Let me double check. Yeah, so copyrighted 2017. All right. So yeah, so it's been some years since this book came out, but again, it is a beautiful cover. She is a beautiful woman, inside and out. And I want to get right into it. So let me share my screen so that you can see what we're going to talk about. Get that together. All righty. So, hello, hello. First and foremost, let's do a quote for the month. I think that that's really helpful. So I saw this by William Styron. A great book should leave you with many experiences and slightly exhausted at the end. You live several lives while reading. I thought this was a funny quote because I wouldn't say I was exhausted after reading Tess Holliday's book, but I would say that it is emotionally triggering, right? She has dealt with a couple of abuses in her life, and it's just hard for me, at least as an empathetic person. It's really hard to hear about other people's struggles, especially when it comes to like sexual abuse and stuff like that. I find that to be really challenging. I just really hate that that's going on in the world, and I hate so many women deal with that in their lives, and my heart really breaks for that. So but I was just so again, such an admiration of her honesty and her truth about what she has lived through and the rough upbringings and just things that she's dealt with in her life. So, I thought that this was an appropriate quote because when you read, you really dive into the author's story, into the author's world that they're creating. And it's so wonderful when an author shares their own truth and their own story. I mean, there's definitely a space for fictional love and life and journeying, but it's also really cool when you read autobiographical content where it's like, wow, you can like try to put yourself in another person's shoes and you realize, wow, like how much you have to be blessed and privileged about, but then also the empathy and the sympathy and the admiration that you develop for others and their stories. So just popping that into your spirit. All right, so for today's conversation, just so you understand how we're going to roll through meet and greet, and I do that a little bit different. I have for a couple of months now, so hopefully you're onto the vibe there. Book summary, what is the book about, and then specific discussion points. And I like to do that part of the conversation because I want you to understand contextually why you should read this book, why you should get this book, ... And so with that, let me also just put the book title for you so you can see that. All right, so now that is, yep. So I think that is running through correctly. Let me just double check. The Not So Subtle Art of Being a Fat Girl. Loving the Skin You're In by Tess Holiday. Perfect. Okay, so yeah, so you have that, and then next steps. All right. So my meet and greet, I used to go on and on and on about talking about my background just because, again, I don't think everyone on the planet knows who I am. So I always want to make sure people know and they can relate and they can connect. But what I've really been enjoying and really pushing myself to do, especially in book clubs, is to be more vulnerable, to be honest. And to answer hard questions. And so these questions around self-love, like I said, I love February because it's Black History Month, but I also love it because it's the month of love. And there's no better love than self-love. And so here are some questions. And I thought it was in relation to the book and some of the themes and some of the advice that Tess Holiday shared. So first question out of the gate, what does self-love mean to you? Self-love means not apologizing for any aspect of who you are. Self-love means adoring and actually liking who you are, which again, I would not tell you, I could not sit here and tell you that I'm 100% in love with myself and there's nothing that I have issue with or nothing that I'm working on. So I think it's a journey. I don't think it's a destination, but I do think you have to, at some point in your life, for parents who are conscientious and doing mindful parenting, are instilling the roots and the lessons within their children to start this journey as a child, as opposed to so many of us who really start this journey as adults or in our teen years and beyond. But it's lost time, right? Have children learning how to love themselves, learning how to define themselves, learning how to discover things about themselves just allows them to really become masters at this when they become adults. So that's my journey with my own son. And I apologize if you can hear him at all. He is a wild one, that one. But we keep on moving. How do you show yourself some self-love? Ooh. I think for me, my biggest issue with loving myself fully is that I have spent so much more time in my life loving others and caring for others. So the art of practicing self-love and self-care for me is a journey that it's easier for me to, like, I was just having a conversation with a friend about this, about how it's easy for me to like love on other people or to treat myself better for my son or for my husband or for, my loved ones. But like, if I have to kind of put the mirror up in front of myself, what does that look like? So for me, it's like napping, just like resting. I'm like more tired than not usually. So that's one form of self-love. Also, like taking time to read. I had a very, very busy week, but I've really loved my weekend so far because I've been able to read several books. I've gotten up to, I think now I've read 12 books for 2023, and reading really gets my mind and my like inner centering to be peaceful, and peace is what really, I associate happiness with peace. So the more that I can read, the more peaceful I feel, the more happy I feel. So I would consider that an act of self-love for myself. And then also exploring passions. So like, I really like to do art. Right now I'm packing up my house. I will share the big news once it is finalized. But I am packing right now. So a lot of my art stuff is packed up, which is frustrating because it means I can't do art, but that will be changing soon. That's another thing that I do. Working out, I would actually argue, is a part of self-love, because the more strong and the more fit I feel, the more equipped I feel for my life. And so I would argue that's an act of self-love as well. What are some ways you can practice self-love on a daily basis? One really quick way is like affirmation. So I have an affirmation for my son, KJ. So I would say that would be, I tell him, you are bold, you're beautiful, you're brilliant. And I think Ashley Graham actually has those 3 B's as well for her son. So I really, really shout her out, another wonderful model. I like the idea of having affirmations for him. For me, I haven't developed a personal daily affirmation other than like, I think mine is biblical, like this too shall pass, which is kind of, it's severe and intense. But, other things I say to myself, like, you are beautiful, you are capable, you are strong, you got this. I say you got this to myself a lot, or go ahead, I can just like push through and do anything, and let's hurry up. Let's move with expediency. I like to get things done fast. So I would say affirmations are a great daily practice, as well as really just honing in on like something you love that you can do every day. So if that's like a walk, or if that's putting on your makeup, if that's making sure you spend time like putting together your outfit. Whenever I get time to put together an outfit, that makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm spending time for me. And whenever you can hone in on you, I think that that's a really great daily practice of self-love. What do you like about yourself and why? Ooh. I like my humor. I like making people laugh. I like maybe making myself laugh. I would consider myself a tad bit funny, so I like to do that. And why? Because I think that life is really serious, and I think that life is really filled with a lot of stuff that is not so funny, actually. So the more that you can laugh, the more that you can turn pain into, not pleasure, but into purpose. I would say you are on a path for success, because regardless of the outcome, right? I think so many people equate success with, what did you achieve? What did you accomplish? But as opposed to really, and I take this from Gary Vaynerchuk, which is the idea that like, it's not really about the outcome, it's about the journey, it's about the process. So if you can fall in love with the process, you're successful right then and there. It doesn't matter whether you bought the business, got the degree, bought the house, like whatever the outcome is that you're going for, it's really about that process. If you can like and lean into the process and lean into loving the process, that's where you'll find success. So that's something that I try to teach others as well as implore for myself. What are you most confident about? Ooh, okay. My abilities to speak. I've been doing public speaking pretty much since I was like 6. And I'm not perfect. Absolutely not. There's still things I can do better. But I really enjoy speaking on things that I'm passionate about. I really enjoy feeling like I can make someone see something through my lens or through a different lens, and feeling good about who they are in this world and how beautiful and magnetic they are. And so, yeah, that's what I'm most confident about. In addition, what else? I think I make good stylish choices. I purposely was feeling like a hoodie for today. If you're like, okay, girl, but I think it's on a Sunday. A hoodie is totally appropriate, and I'm about to go work out. So I was like, I'm just gonna, just keep it together. What are your strongest skills? Ooh, problem solving, uh, thinking on the fly, being able to be persuasive on the fly. What else? Strongest skills. Mental fortitude. I can get through anything. If you told me, hey, Tosh, you have to stay up all night to solve this or get through this, I could do that. Leaning into my intuition. I would say that's motherhood and parenting. It really is a lot. Sometimes it sucks more than it doesn't, to be honest. But I would say what I really like about my parenting is my ability to kind of lean into intuition with knowing what my kid wants and knowing how to make him happy and knowing how to, stimulate him and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that was a lot. That was like you were in my deep secrets right there, all up in my Kool-Aid. So I hope you enjoyed. All right, so quickly, what is the book about? It's autobiographical. It's about a journey of Tess Holliday's life and how she grew up, the challenges that she shared with her father, with her mother, abuse, lots and lots of abuse that she witnessed, that she was a part of. I don't want to give away too much because I couldn't speak. I couldn't even, the words she shared were really traumatic, really beautiful, really honest truth. And again, Tess Holliday, if you ever see this, I just wanted to let you know, I really admire your strength and your ability to turn your pain into purpose and to really go onwards to live a life of transformation, a life of motivation, inspiration. You have 2 beautiful boys, and I know that they probably admire and love their mommy as they should. And I just thank you for everything you continue to do. I love you for your TikToks. You're hilarious. And I continue to champion you for changing the fashion industry, for helping people to see past fat phobia, for them to see that there's more to life than the jean size that you wear. There's more to life than how much the number of the scale is. And I just champion you for living your truth and letting your life be living testimony to what beauty is. And with that, let's get into some of her words. I don't know if we'll hit all of them, but I have different ones that you can hit up. So first one is she has advice for life, and she has different like numbers by them. And I thought that was just super cute. And I was like, okay, girl. So this is number 12, Tess Holliday's advice for life, number 12. Love shouldn't damage you. When I was 27, I decided to permanently cut ties with my dad. It was part of me deciding not to let people in my life who didn't treat me well. Over the years, I'd given him so many chances, but I was always the one putting in the effort and just not getting much back. I was tired of him always being a jerk. I guess I realized that I didn't have to give him that power over me anymore. He doesn't try to get in touch. He has sent my oldest son, Riley, one Christmas gift in his entire life. So even though it makes me sad, I don't think he and his little brother are missing out on much. I see now that our lives are better without my dad in it. That's rough. That's a rough one because I'm a daddy's girl. I grew up very close to my dad. My dad is rough and tough, and you know that, Father. If you ever watch this, you know you were intense. You're still intense, but I thought that was just really, really profound because, again, I'll read that again. That advice is love shouldn't damage you. So many of us look at love and we accept that love can be hard. Love can be this kind of space where it allows for toxicity, the space that it's like, well, they're my family, so I'm just gonna kind of like get past it, or I'm gonna just like tolerate. We increase our tolerance for pain when it comes to relatives or people you're supposed to have in your life. But I really like that she put that out there, that like, hey, if this is hurting you, then stop. Right? It's really simple, and that would be advice you would give your child or someone you love. If they came to you and were like, this person's hurting me, you would say, hey, stop spending time with that person. But yet for ourselves, we really struggle with finding the strength and the ability to do such a thing. So I was like, yes, mama. I mean, I have been on a journey of cutting people off, and I get it. Aunties will be aunties, uncles will be uncles, cousins will be cousins. People will be in your life for, your fams is your fams, right? You can't disinherit your blood, but you don't actually have to tolerate everyone in your life. You can choose to be quite selective, actually, as to who you spend time with and who you talk to. And if it hurts, you should stop. Right? Real simple. Not simple in cutting them off, but simple in understanding that truth, right? Next one, number 63, which is on page 47. Tess Holliday's Advice for Life, number 63, embrace what makes you you. I like that because, hello, your magic in this world is yourself. It's not how much money you have. It's not where you live. It's not who you know. It's literally just you. You are your magic. And if more people could understand that, if more people could get that through their head, then I think that they would start to appreciate themselves a little bit more. And they would also, probably make different life choices, because they would realize how precious of a gem they are. And it's kind of like if you had a diamond, you wouldn't just throw it in dirt, right? That you would be gentle with it, that you would clean it, that you would take care of it. And that's how you should view yourself. Next, page 62. All right. Advice for Life, number 81. You're allowed to enjoy food. That part. Let me read that one again for you. You're allowed to enjoy food. Now, when I hear of carb dodging celebrities who get their personal assistants to phone ahead to restaurants to order low-calorie meals, I feel sorry for them. Yes, they may have so-called perfect beach bodies, but imagine living your life like that. Ha! So this is a really good one. I'm personally on a journey of working on my weight loss. And again, everyone has to decide what they want to weigh, how much whatever choices when it comes to food, how they want to present. I have struggled with my weight since I was 6 years old, and up and down, mostly up. But, have been in the spaces where, I've lost a lot of weight, gained weight, had a baby, right? Like all this stuff. And at the end of the day, fighting with loving yourself doesn't help. Fighting with the fact that you actually do have to eat does not help. And a lot of people don't know this. A lot of people, especially like plus size or bigger people, actually aren't eating enough, really. I know that there's a perception, or there's the stigma that people are like, oh, like you're eating too much, or they see a bigger body person in a fast food store, and all these assumptions and thoughts and biases come to mind. But at the end of the day, focus on you, stay in your lane, focus on what you need to do, what you need to eat, what makes you feel good, how you're taking care of yourself, and let's stop with the judgment, stop looking at others. But I really like that, because sometimes, I find myself in points where I'm afraid to eat, because I'm like, oh gosh, like the caloric, this, right? And it's just like, nope, mama, you got to eat, you got to drink water, you got to walk, you got to do stuff. You got to take care of your temple. So really like that. That was a really good, just like personal reminder of like, stop it, get it together. Next, life advice number 122. If a partner tells you to lose weight, lose them instead. Ha ha. While I waited for this personality transplant to kick into action, Brad's man makeover and Moody James Dean routine was having an effect on the female population of the school. And of course, I hated it. As I followed him around, I began to see girls doing double takes in the hallways. I started to feel insecure. I was fat with untamed eyebrows and wore a necklace that said Brad. Was Brad leaving me behind? Now that my boyfriend seemed to find me so unappealing, I was spending more and more time with Adeline. She was due to return to France before long, something I could barely think about. So I decided my parting gift would be to teach her to drive. Cue AC/DC's Highway to Hell. In Mississippi, you could get your learner's permit at 15, and I had been honing my skills in driver's ed class, stoked at the idea of not having to drive me everywhere. Mom talked my dad into buying me a 92 Mercury Sable. It was a rust bucket with no air conditioning and peeling paint, but it had a CD player, so really, what else mattered? Technically, I hadn't passed my driving test, so I was supposed to have a licensed driver in the car with me at all times, but that didn't stop me from picking up Adeline and driving her to the parking lot of the Winn-Dixie grocery store. There, I coaxed her into the driver's seat and attempted to teach her everything I knew, which, considering the language barrier, was trickier than catching a muddy pig. Thankfully, Adeline was a quick learner and located the brake before she could rear-end a parked car. Adeline and I are still friends. She still calls me Porky, and we still laugh about that year. As far as I know, her eternal soul is doing okay. It goes on. But again, just like even reading that passage, you can just see her humor and her joy. And thank you, Khalil, for the comments. I like all the, okay, thank you, sir. Very nice. Always good to have the hubby on. I liked her writing style. I felt like she really wrote the book as if she was talking to you, as if this was just kind of sit down with like two girlfriends. And I love books like that. I think it's just more personal. So 2 more before we start to wrap this up, y'all. Let's get it in. So page 163. Advice for life number 200. Trust your instincts and advocate for your body. Following his instructions, I went straight from my obstetrician's office to a hospital delivery unit where I was immediately prepped for surgery. Even though I'm not shy, I was mortified when a male nurse appeared with a razor and shaved off my pubic hair. 10 years later, when I went in to have Bowie, I had that shit waxed in advance. I had never been in an operating room before, and I was shocked by the amount of medical staff in the room. For 20 minutes, I lay terrified as nurses and doctors and scrubs flapped around me, preparing for the surgery. Mom was never brought in to support me like that. I had been promised. I was lonely and scared, mad that she wasn't there. Yeah, I mean, that it goes on, of course, but that reminds me of when I had my son. I was induced at 40 weeks, and I laid there for, oh God, like a day and a half before they ultimately decided I was going to have a C-section. My heart rate was getting funky. I got a temperature. KJ, my son, his heart rate was getting funky. So it was super traumatic, super concerning. And, thankfully, nothing in the Netherlands was being addressed with my son. And I had a C-section, so just slice and dice the stomach open. But it's a wild experience having a child. It really is. It's terrifying though, because as a Black woman, the death rate for Black mothers in this country is so much higher than other women of other races. So I was terrified that I was going to die. I tried to hope for the best, of course, and positive thinking manifested positivity for sure. I wanted to meet my son. I wanted to be here. I wanted to be healthy. But I absolutely was asking questions throughout the entire process. I definitely was irritating the nurses because the medical staff, unfortunately, were not sharing enough. They're just like, do this. And it's like, well, before I do this, why? Why do I need to do this? Please tell me, because again, I have exposure of lots of doctors and nurses in my family, but I am not one. Yes, I know my last name is nurse, but I, in fact, am not a nurse. So please tell me before you put something into my vein. What are we doing? Why are we doing this? So yeah, that resonated with me because it's super scary. Just generally it can be to see a doctor, much less when someone's like, hey, open up your legs, or hey, let's have a baby. Well, what does that entail? What are we doing? Let's walk through these steps first, please. Por favor. So,
I don't know.
No. The technology that talks to you when you're not talking to it. So creepy. All right, next. 186, and then we're going to wrap up. So advice for life 212. Don't limit yourself because you're scared of looking stupid. It's liberating to just embrace your inner dork. Yeah, my inner dork is very much an outer dork, so I'm right there with you. She goes on to say, while I covered up my tattoos for work at the bank, I wore them with pride in my own time, throwing off my cardigans for the very first time, just like the lady I'd met in Lane Bryant. I too was attracting admiring glances from strangers. I was starting to learn to love my body, and it showed in how others responded to my newfound confidence. I was always so proud when someone stopped me in the street to comment, "Beautiful artwork." With the confidence boost from my new tattoos, I embarked on my first ever shoot with actual hair and makeup. It fell into my lap through my friendship with an art photographer I had met named Elizabeth Rabb. We were seeing a band at a local bar when she suggested that she shoot me. I loved that her work was full of rich, dark colors, but she mostly shot nudity, which at the time was something that absolutely terrified me. Sure enough, she pitched me the concept: plus size women in warrior poses, but nude. The days leading up to the shoot, I was terrified. I had real hair and makeup. Even though Elizabeth knew I wasn't a model, I felt an immense amount of pressure to give her something amazing. On the day of the shoot, we met at a location in Pioneer Square in a Persian rug store her friend owned. Goes on and on. Nonetheless, we know Tess Holliday to be an incredible model, an incredible body positive advocate. F Your Beauty Standards, I believe, is her hashtag that she started. She's everything. And again, I thank you, Tess Holliday, for writing this book. And I thank you for sharing your story. I know that that couldn't have been easy. And you are really an American treasure. And you are just someone who should always be revered and loved. And I'm so sorry for all the hate that you get on an ongoing basis, on a daily basis, as you share on your TikToks. And it's just sickening that people have such a weird issue with other people in their lives. You know, if we spend the amount of time that we focus on others, on ourselves, it'd be really fascinating to see how much more progress and development people would have in their own life instead of coming for others. I'm not quite sure what the obsession is there, but maybe in my lifetime that'll change. We shall see. I know I'll teach my son to do the right thing. So with that, let's wrap this up, y'all. So this is what we're reading for March. I am currently in a situation, like I said, I'm packing up and I'm looking to do a beautiful new chapter in my life, more to tell. I will share once it's finalized, but I will tell you finances. It's very much a part of this. And so I got this book and I said, oh yeah, bringing this to the book club. I have read some books that have been financially oriented, but again, it's a new year. We always have to think about our finances. So if you're familiar with Robert T. Kiyosaki, Cash Flow Quadrant, Guide to Financial Freedom. If you too are looking to change things up for your finances in your home for 2023, this is the book for you. This is the book club for you. Go to dressingmate.com. You can see on the events page when this is happening in March, and I look forward to you joining. What comes next from that? Thank you. And with that, let me stop sharing. And it's just us. Okay, cool. So if you are not already subscribed to the blog, please do so, and the monthly newsletter at dressingmate.com. Really appreciate everyone who was here. Really appreciate you when you watch this on the replay. Again, have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful, week ahead, and enjoy President's Day that's coming up for tomorrow. And I hope if you too have not read Tessa's Holliday book that you do. So let me show it again before we end this program. There you go. Look at that cover. Isn't that beautiful? She's so beautiful. Oh, love that. Love that. So thank you, Tess Holliday, for writing such a beautiful story. Thank you for joining, and I'll catch y'all later. Bye.